Hello everyone, welcome to Court with Krissy. This bench trial moves along quick. The defendant, she methed up. She left her bag with her man. It's all about the possession of the purse. That's her story, and even her mama's sticking to it. If your ex testifies against you in court, do you think there's a chance that these two will get back together? I hope you like it. Court with Krissy is now in session.
Morning for a bench trial in the case of People of the State of Michigan versus Amanda Lee Murphy. It's filed 24-6916FH. Counsel, you want to place your appearances on the record, beginning with the people?
Melissa Goodrich, Blount County Prosecutor.
And James Gilbert here on behalf of Amanda Murphy.
Okay, good morning. And Mr. Gilbert, do you want the standard sequestration order entered in this case?
I do.
Okay, so for both sides, I'd ask that witnesses would be sequestered and not discuss their testimony one with another or observe the court proceedings either in person or on the live stream. And also, we do have a bit of a technical issue today where the doors don't entirely seal. So if you want to just make sure your staff knows that the witnesses can't be hanging around the door because there'll be some ambient audio leaking out from the court. All right, and this was scheduled for a bench trial. People consent to a trial without a jury?
Yes.
And Ms. Murphy, you had previously waived your right to a jury trial. Is that still how you wish to proceed, to have me decide the case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, and we've already taken that waiver on the record. I won't redo that today. I just wanted to confirm your choice. Ms. Goodrich, opening statement.
I would waive opening statement, Your Honor, based on it being a bench trial.
All right. Any objection to that, Mr. Gilbert?
No objection.
Any opening from the defense?
I would take the same position with it being a bench trial, Your Honor.
Okay. Your first witness, Ms. Goodrich?
Your Honor, as a housekeeping matter, the parties did the defense did not object to People's Exhibit 1, which is the lab results, so that we didn't have to go to lab analyst, which I appreciate.
And that is correct.
Okay, if you want to approach. Okay, so People's Exhibit 1 is a lab report prepared by the Department of State Police analyzing item 3. It says residue analyzed, substance identified, methamphetamine. And the defense has no objection to the admission of People's Exhibit 1.
My client and I discussed the matter and there is no objection.
Okay, 1 is admitted. Okay, Ms. Goodrich.
I'd like to call Jeffrey Becker Moore, please. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Jeffrey
Your entire name?
Becker Moore.
Thank you. And where are you employed?
Where Muller Aerospace.
Okay. And you're just coming off the night shift?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know an Amanda Murphy?
Do I? Yes.
And how do you know her?
We used to date.
Okay. And so how long approximately have you known her?
Maybe a year and a half.
And do you see her here in the courtroom?
Yes.
And can you identify what color shirt she's wearing for the record?
Gray.
And I'd like the record to reflect that he's identified the defendant in the courtroom.
So moved.
Were you with Amanda Murphy on June 14th of 2024?
Yes.
And were you both in a vehicle?
Yes.
Was there anybody else in the vehicle?
Mr. Becker Moore, I'm going to have to ask you to speak up a bit so that we can make sure we're making a good audio record of your testimony.
Prior to being in that vehicle with Amanda Murphy, did you place anything inside her purse?
No.
Were you involved in a traffic stop with law enforcement while you're in the vehicle with Amanda Murphy?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to object. These questions are all leading, Your Honor.
Overruled. I don't think they're directing what the answer is. They're directing him to the topic. I guess before we go any further with this testimony, though, I do see, I'm aware that Mr. Becker Moore had charges that were pending in this court, and I remanded it to the district court. And I see Mr. Nightingale in the courtroom. Is Mr. Nightingale Mr. Becker Moore's attorney?
He is.
Okay. And Mr. Becker Moore, you've had a chance to consult with Mr. Nightingale about your testimony here today and any jeopardy that you be placed in?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. And was there Well, I guess that's the defense will get into that. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we addressed Mr. Nightingale in the courtroom and that we didn't, you don't need to talk with Mr. Nightingale or anything about this?
We discussed, no.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Your Honor.
And Jeffrey, Mr. Moore, you have a reduced plea deal with the prosecution based on you agreeing to give truthful testimony here today, correct?
Yes,
And you're originally charged with a felony, but that's been reduced to a misdemeanor plea, and the case has been remanded to district court in exchange for your truthful testimony.
that is correct.
And there's also an agreement that anything that you say here in court today would not be used against you in that case. Is that your understanding?
Yes,
Thank you.
That was entirely leading, but I suppose you have no objection to that because you wanted that on the record.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, during that traffic stop on June 14th of 2024, did you have any knowledge about what was in Amanda Murphy's purse?
not at all.
Did you later learn that there was controlled substances in her purse?
Yes,
And were those, who owned those controlled substances? If you know.
I would believe her, but you know what I mean? If they were in her purse, I know they were not mine.
And you had no knowledge of those being in her purse at that time?
No,
And knowing that you were involved in a traffic stop, if you had known that there was something in her purse, what instruction would you have given her?
I mean, I would have probably, you know, back in the day when I was getting high and trying to avoid the law and whatnot, I most likely would have told her to get rid of it or hide it before the cops came to search the car.
And on June 14th of 2024, you gave her no such instruction.
I did not give her any instruction like that.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any cross exam?
Good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Becker Moore, there was other drugs found in that car that night, that morning, correct?
Yeah, there, you know, the report says yes.
Was there items found in the trunk that was yours?
That's what the report says. The report says there was items found in the trunk.
Okay, you were there at the stop, right?
Yeah, they
Okay.
didn't show me what they found at the stop.
There was a dog there, wasn't there?
There was a dog, but again, they pulled me into the car and I didn't see what they found. There was a lock bag. They asked me what the combination for the lock bag was. I didn't know the combination for the lock bag. I didn't know what they found in the lock bag. I didn't know what was found until I seen the police report.
So did you have meth in the car or not?
There was, yes.
Okay. Was that yours?
It was mine.
Okay. And was that in the trunk?
Yes.
Okay. Because you were in control of the vehicle, right? You were the driver?
Yeah, I didn't know what they, you know what I mean? I didn't know. Then at the stop, they didn't show me what they found. They just told me that what was in there, you know.
Okay, they didn't show you, but they told you they found methamphetamine in the trunk,
And I
right?
admitted to that being mine.
Okay. What was prior to, did you pick my client up at her house that evening?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And when you picked my client up, were you in possession of her purse?
No,
You did not have her purse.
no,
A few days prior to that, you didn't leave her at a Dairy Queen or on the side of the road and let her walk home and keep her stopped?
no.
No? A week before?
She ended up getting out of the car. But
Okay.
She took her purse and all of her belongings.
Okay, and when was that?
There were several times that had happened, you
Okay.
know, throughout our dating. So I can't recall exactly as opposed to the time we got stopped when that was. But I do know that every single time that did happen, she took all her stuff. I made sure I didn't have anything of hers.
Okay,
She was one who would willingly get out of the vehicle,
all right.
you know.
So in the week prior to this traffic stop, how many times did that happen? That she got out or you had her get out of the car and walk?
I mean, I'd say once, twice,
Okay.
twice, most,
And
Couple times.
none of those times did you keep her purse?
none.
Were you, did you at any time witness a needle that you had used in that the week prior to this incident?
No, I wasn't using needles at this time, so.
Okay. And you weren't familiar at a pill bottle that my client kept marijuana in?
Marijuana?
Right.
No,
Okay. Were you aware of a pill bottle that my client kept anything?
I mean, she's prescribed her medication, Adderall, so
Okay.
she obviously had her Adderall in the prescription bottles that they came in.
Okay. Any point in time, did you witness any cellophane that had any drugs in it?
No,
Did you ever have your drugs in cellophane?
you know, I was using at the time, but no,
Okay. And you never used one of my client's pill bottles to carry anything?
I never used any of her pill bottles.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
No redirect.
You can shut down, Mr.
I'd like to thank and excuse this witness from subpoena.
Yes. You're all set, Mr. Krissy. You're not intending to recall?
I'm not.
Ms. Goodrich?
I'd like to call Trooper Carlson, please.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
Alex Carlson,
And where are you employed?
Michigan State Police,
And what is your position?
trooper,
What is the total number of years you've served in law enforcement?
6 years.
Thank you. And were you on duty on June 14th of 2024?
Yes, I was.
And who was in the patrol car with you that day?
Trooper Tyler Moore.
Were you involved in a traffic stop with Amanda Murphy in the vehicle?
Yes, I was.
And where was she in the vehicle?
Passenger seat.
Did that traffic stop occur in Sheboygan County?
It did.
And who was the driver of the vehicle?
Jeffrey Becker Moore.
And was your contact during that traffic stop more with Jeffrey Becker Moore or the passenger Amanda Murphy?
Mr. Becker Moore.
Did that traffic stop involve a search of the vehicle?
Yes, it did.
Were there any controlled substances found in the vehicle?
Yes, there was.
And where were they found?
In the trunk area of the vehicle.
Did you confront Jeffrey Becker Moore about the controlled substances in the trunk of the vehicle?
Yes.
And did you tell him what you thought they were?
Yes.
What were they?
I believe them to be methamphetamine.
And what was Jeffrey Becker Moore's response to you asking about the methamphetamine in the trunk of the vehicle?
He was initially in denial of it.
Did he change that at any point in time?
Yes, he did eventually admit to knowing that it was there. It says,
And that was still on scene during the traffic stop?
yes.
And did you have any contact with Amanda Murphy during that traffic stop?
If I did, it was briefly.
And that was primarily Trooper Morris had that contact?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you.
Cross-exam?
Just briefly. Good morning, Trooper.
Good morning.
So there was about how much methamphetamine was found in the vehicle on your search?
I think each corner baggie was under a gram.
Okay. And that was found in the trunk?
Yes.
Okay. Did you find anything up in the passengers area?
There's a pipe with methamphetamine residue in the center console of the vehicle as well.
Okay. Did you find a needle and when you searched through the?
I did not find it.
You did not. Okay. And so your focus was mainly on Mr. Becker Moore?
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
What was the, I'm sorry, any redirect?
No redirect.
Trooper Carlson, what was the reason for the stop?
Defective platelets. Burned out.
And can you describe for me how that proceeded then to search the vehicle?
Yes, I'll just go over what we had observed prior to.
Sure.
Saw the vehicle initially going eastbound on M3TH3D. Vehicle, once we got behind it, I did a U-turn, got behind it, turned off to a business on the south side of the road. I continued on, did another U-turn. The vehicle came back out on the road going westbound. At this time, we were able to get up on it enough to get its plate. The vehicle then turned off into the Burger King parking lot, parked, Due to this abnormal behavior, we believe there's criminal activity to be afoot. We went over to the McDonald's Shell station and just observed the vehicle from over there. And there we could see it parked there for a sustained amount of time. Trooper Morris observed it to have someone got out of the vehicle, open and close the trunk, and we were able to get the plate. Observed to be Jeffrey Becker Moore, prior controlled substance charges. When it came back out, we knew that there was defective plate lights. Got behind it, did a traffic stop, and contacted with the drivers.
Then what happened after the contact?
I asked him for his driver's license, which he did not have on him. And I asked him to step in the vehicle and then spoke with him outside the vehicle towards my patrol vehicle.
Okay. And then what happened next to lead to then the search of the vehicle?
I had asked him if there was anything in the vehicle. He said there was not. Asked him if we could search the vehicle. He was okay with the front and rear. Initially, he was okay with the front and rear compartments of the vehicle being searched, just not the trunk. Just suspected that area to contain something that he did not want us to know about. It eventually turned into a question was asked if a canine would alert to the vehicle, and he said it would not. And then he altogether decided not to give us consent to search the vehicle.
Okay.
So then we had a canine respond to the scene.
How long did it take for canine response to get up?
I am not sure on the timeline, but it was not very long period amount of time.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Goodrich, any further questions as a result of the court's question?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yeah, thank you.
please step down.
Thanks, sir.
All right, Ms. Goodrich.
I'd like to call Trooper Morris to stand, please.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
Tyler Morse,
And where you're employed?
Michigan State Police.
And what is your position?
I'm currently assigned to Straits Area Narcotics Enforcement,
And how many years total have you served in law enforcement?
approximately 4.5 years.
By being on the Straits Area Narcotics Enforcement Team, have you received any special education or training?
Yes, I have.
And what is that?
I've gone through interdiction training, nonverbal communication training, identifying recreational and legal narcotics, interview training with drug suspects.
And have you also become familiar with street names for certain controlled substances?
Yes,
Were you on duty on June 14th of 2024?
yes, that was.
And were you in the patrol vehicle with Trooper Carlson?
Yes, that is correct.
And were you the main contact with Amanda Murphy?
I was.
And when you approached her, what did you ask?
As I approached her, I asked her just to begin with general travel plans, where they're coming from. She advised they were coming from her house in Wolverine. They were heading up to Jeffrey Becker Moore's residence in Sheboygan. As I continued speaking with her, I asked if there was anything illegal in the vehicle. She looked at me and said, "Not that I'm aware of, not on me," and then quickly glanced over at the center console of the vehicle. Continued to talk with her more about if there being anything illegal in the vehicle, and she was very apprehensive to say that there was not anything illegal in the vehicle. Was very unsure. Told me that if there was anything in the vehicle, that would have been methamphetamine, as Mr. Beckermore was currently addicted to that drug, and she believes it was possible that he could have hidden that drug in the vehicle at that time.
And she specifically stated methamphetamine.
Yeah, we, as I recall, I refer to it as ICE with her, which is a common slang term for methamphetamine.
Thank you. And was there a point in time where you conferred with Trooper Carlson to see if her story about where they were going matched with Jeffrey Becker Moore's story?
Yes.
And did they match?
No, they differed slightly.
Did you then have a second interview with Amanda Murphy?
I did.
And what happened during that second interview?
That second interview occurred after I got consent to search her bags. She had a drawstring bag and a purse on her. She gave me consent to search those. And while searching her purse, I located a prescription pill bottle cap that was inside of the cellophane bag, and inside of that prescription bottle cap, there was methamphetamine residue. So after I located that, I spoke with Miss Murphy again, and she admitted to me that was indeed methamphetamine in that cap, but she said that it belonged to Becker Moore, and that she found it 2 days prior, along with a needle, and she placed them in her purse 2 days prior to that.
Did she admit to putting the needle anywhere else besides her purse?
She did not that I recall.
And you were wearing a body cam during these admissions of the methamphetamine being in her purse and being there for 2 days?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross exam.
Good morning.
See, watching videos so much, I feel we know each other. So you were the primary officer that investigating my client?
That is correct.
Okay, so the two of you separated, Mr. Becker Moore and my client, and each of you handled one of them?
Correct.
Okay. Initially, my client was pretty adamant that no methamphetamine was hers.
That is correct. Yes.
And pretty adamant that she does not use methamphetamine.
Yes, I believe I recall. Yeah, we talked about her use, and I'm certain you are correct. Yeah, she said she did not use methamphetamine.
And that was true throughout the course of both interviews, was that not?
I believe so.
And at no point in time did she acknowledge that any of the methamphetamine was hers.
That is correct.
And I believe, at least during your second course of the interview, you were giving her quite a few options to tell you the truth and asked her if she'd work for you and that type of thing. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. And she still didn't admit that any of the methamphetamine was hers.
That is correct.
And continue to deny her use.
That is correct. I believe so. Yeah.
Going back to the initial things that you found a pill bottle. Can you give us a little bit more?
Yes, it was just unlike a prescription pill bottle that you have the white cap that you push and twist off. I just located that cap. That cap was inside of a cellophane bag.
Okay.
I believe there's just a miscellaneous piece of paper in there as well. But inside of that pill bottle cap was upside down, and inside of it was the methamphetamine residue that I located.
Okay. And that was in my client's purse.
Correct.
And so I'm asking this question for, I guess, personal knowledge also. Is that common to put methamphetamine in a pill cap? Why would, with your training with narcotics and that type thing, what's the use of a pill cap, and is that a proper way to store it? I mean,
I thought it was kind of an odd way to store it, but people I've seen it stored in numerous containers, all different shapes and sizes. I could speculate as to why it was in a pill cap, but I can't say with certainty other than that's just where she had it at that time.
And it was just the pill cap. It's not the rest of the bottle. Just
Correct.
the white cap.
Correct. Just the cap.
Now, was it a cellophane bag or wrapped in cellophane?
It was just placed inside of a plastic cellophane bag.
Okay. And again, it was just residue. There wasn't any substantial amount there.
That is correct.
Okay. What triggered you to think that was ice or methamphetamine when you saw that cap?
From prior experience, I've seen methamphetamine dozens of times and
Okay.
the residue. So
So the residue. So you recognize it being residue.
correct.
And then there was a needle involved here there was a needle that was found. Can you give a little bit of explanation about where it was found and what the story was with the needle?
Yeah, that is correct. I do not recall who located the needle for certain, but I know I'm speculating, but from my memory, I think it was either one of the deputies that assisted, but it was located underneath the passenger passenger chair of where Miss Murphy was sitting. Just
Okay, so you're not the one that actually found it.
That is correct. I
Okay.
did not locate that.
So you don't know if it was in a phone case or anything like that?
Correct. I do not know.
Okay. And do you remember what the story was with the needle that was found?
She told me that she found the needle in that pill cap 2 days prior and put it in her purse and that they belonged to Becker Moore. That's the only backstory I have on the needle.
Okay, but the needle wasn't found in the purse, it was found on the floor.
Correct.
Okay. And my client consented to you searching her stuff?
That is correct.
Okay. And so there was no hesitation on her allowing you to go through her purse and check her things?
Correct.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Maybe direct?
Yes. Was it the cap or the needle that you sent to the lab for testing?
I did not personally send it, but I believe it was the cap. I believe Trooper Carlson sent that.
Thank you.
Any further questions on that point?
No, thank you.
Trooper Morris, can you describe for me a little more detail about how that consent search happened? Like, what was she outside of the vehicle?
Yes, so Trooper Carlson was had Mr. Becker Moore out of the vehicle, was talking with him in front of his patrol vehicle. At that point, I had Miss Murphy step out of the vehicle. I believe we were waiting at this point in time for the K9 to arrive. I had her step from the vehicle. She came out with both of her bags. I then asked her if I could search her bags, and she said yes, I could. And then I searched them. I placed her bags on the hood of her vehicle and searched them right within view of her.
And do you know how long it took for the K9 to get there?
I couldn't give you an exact time, but if I would have you give you an approximation, I would say 25 minutes.
The consent search that was given occurred on the front end of that or the back end of that?
For Miss Murphy's
Yes.
purse, it would have been after we had requested the K9, if I recall. So it would have been towards the back end while we were still waiting for the K9 to arrive.
Any further questions as a result of the first question?
No, you're.
Mr. Gilbert?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Goodrich?
The people rest, Your Honor.
Mr. Gilbert, any witnesses?
Yes, first witness I'll call is Christina Duvall.
Hi,
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, can you state your name for the record, please?
Christina Lee Duval.
And Christina, Ms. Duvall, what is your relationship to my client?
I'm Amanda Murphy's mother.
Okay. And I'm just gonna ask you some general questions about her purse and those type of things. On June 14th, did you have contact with your daughter or my client?
I did.
All right. And can you tell the court what happened and what items she had with her that day? And first off, where did you have contact with her? Was that your
It was
residence?
at our residence.
Okay.
Yes,
And then can you tell the court what you remember about?
yeah, she woke me up. It was later, I was sleeping, and she said Jeff showed up.
I'd object, Your Honor. It's hearsay nature of the questions.
She told me.
Hang on. Response, Mr. Gilbert.
I don't think yes, Your Honor. That would be hearsay.
Okay, Amanda.
Hold on,
walked
hold
out.
on.
Hang on.
Okay,
You cannot state, remember, we talked about this. You cannot state what Amanda told you, just you can tell me what you observed.
what I observed was Amanda leave the house with shop without her purse.
Okay. And do you remember if she had her purse prior to that?
She did not,
Okay. How do you know that she did not have her purse prior to that?
because I took her to go try to find him to get her purse.
Okay. And when did you take her to go find the purse?
Or the day before, or the day before that, when she came back without her purse, and it was in his car, we tried to find him.
Okay. So a couple days prior to the 14th, you had been looking for Mr. Moore?
Yes.
What other items were you aware that Mr. Moore had of Miss Murphy's?
He had a backpack that I believe was at the trailer that we had to go back to get some clothes and stuff that he had at his place of residence that we wanted to retrieve as well, to get all her belongings from him because she was cutting ties with him.
Okay, so to your knowledge, they were amidst of sort of a breakup?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. But yet he picked her up that night and they took off.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, they did. Okay. But prior to that, you had where did you go to try to find her items, her backpack and specifically her
We went to
purse?
it, we went to his work. We went to his place of where his dad lives. We went to the place where he lives. And we couldn't find him nowhere.
Okay. In that whole time period, she did not have her purse.
She did not.
Okay. Did the same incident happen within a week that he kept her stuff?
Yes, there were multiple times that this happened.
Okay. And each of those, what did you do? What was your role when those items were with him?
To try to talk to Jeff and I personally have talked to Jeff and was like, "Dude, just give her stuff back. I mean, come on, just go your separate ways, so. I have had conversations with Jeff because Jeff is, I don't need to go on all that, but Jeff needs help. And Amanda is not the person helping. You need to go get help.
Okay.
My daughter's not the one to help him. She can't bring that stuff around her throat. And she became aware of it. It was a different person if you saw.
I'd object,
that.
Your Honor, as to speculation as to Ms. Murphy's
So-
thoughts or experiences.
That's was my feelings.
Hang on. When there's an objection, you just have to pause and let it sort out.
Okay,
That's fine.
So in particular, that in the evening of the 14th, Amanda did not have her purse when she left
No, she
left
did
your
not.
house.
she did not.
And to the best of your knowledge, Mr. Moore had it prior to the days prior to that.
Yes,
Okay. And that's not the first time it had happened.
correct.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Can you cross-examine?
Good morning.
Thank you.
Sounds like not a big fan of Jeffrey Becker Moore.
It's not that I don't like Jeff. I like Jeff as a person, but my daughter's not a qualified enough person to help somebody who has his issues.
And you and your daughter are close?
Yes. I'm close with all my children.
Okay. And on June 14th of 2024, what times were you with Amanda Murphy?
She was at home with me pretty much all day.
And since we're talking about almost a year ago now, how much certainty do you have on what times you're with her?
I was with her all day until she woke me up and said that Jeff is here.
Okay, and because it was a year ago, how much certainty do you have on when you're with her?
I 100% certainty I was with her.
Okay, and when you say together all day, from what time to what time?
From the time that we woke up in the morning until the time that she left out the door with Jeff.
And what time did she leave out the door?
And it was about midnight, somewhere around there. It was late at night. It was late at night. She woke me up. She woke me up and told me she was leaving with them. And then I got the police from the cops, which I think might have been close to 3 a.m.
And prior to June 14th, what time to what time were you with Amanda Murphy?
Prior to June 14th,
Yes.
I was with Amanda every day except for the day that she walked home from, except for 2 days before when she walked home from Indian River.
Okay, so on June 13th,
But she was at home with me.
all day,
Yes,
24 hours.
yes.
How about June 12th?
She was not with me all day.
What times was she with you?
She really wasn't with me that day. She was with Jeff that day. Until after she showed up at home, walking home from Indian River, which it's still daylight out, so, but I can't be the exact time of that.
Okay. And were you with Amanda Murphy when, on June 14th of 2024, were you with Amanda Murphy when she got her purse?
She walked out the door without her purse, and I picked her up with the police. She had her purse.
Okay, so you were not with her when she got her purse?
I was not.
Okay. So you did not observe her obtaining her purse?
I did not.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Can you redirect?
Just for clarification. So my client left your house on the 14th, about midnight.
Yep, that's approximately, it was late.
And then you said you had a call from the police. Can you tell me what the essence of that call was?
They asked me to come pick my daughter up.
Okay, and that was after the stop.
Yes.
Thank you. No further.
And then we got another call from the police, asked us to come back to pick Jeff's car up. I'm like, what? you know, but
Okay, so you had a couple calls that night from the police?
yes,
One to pick Amanda up and one to come get the car?
yes.
No further questions, thank you.
Any refresh on those points?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you can step down, Mr. Fall.
I have to leave court or?
Can she be excused from her subpoena?
Yeah, she's
Okay,
excused
so
from my
you can
subpoena.
remain in the court if you want, or you can leave. It's up to you. Mr. Gilbert,
I would call Amanda Murphy.
Ms. Murphy, if you want to come.
Amanda, can you state your name for the record, please?
Amanda Lee Murphy.
And Amanda, you know why you're here today?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And you heard the officers talk about when you and Mr. Moore were stopped on June 14th?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And that there was items found, at least one item found in your purse?
Yes.
Okay. At the time of, at that time, and remember you're under oath, at the time of that stop, were you aware that there was a pill cap, a pill bottle cap with cellophane in your purse?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Were you, and what did you think, where did you find that pill bottle cap?
I found it in Jeffrey Beckermore's car 2 days prior to that with the needle. And I was going to confront him and I put it in my purse and I had forgot that I had put it in my purse. I thought that I may have been under the seat with the needle that I found. So, you know, I didn't remember it being in there, but, you know, it was in there.
Okay. Were you aware what was in that? Did you know that there was methamphetamine in that cap?
I did not know for sure, but I assumed yes.
And so tell me, when was it that you took that item?
It was 2 days before in Indian River at McDonald's. I had found the items and I was going to confront him, but when I came out of McDonald's, he was gone.
Okay. And so did you have your purse at that point in time?
No, I did not.
Where was your purse at?
In his car still.
Okay. And that's where, so you put the items in the purse before you went into McDonald's?
No, they were underneath the seat. And I might have put them in my purse. But I found them underneath the seat.
Okay. And that was before going into McDonald's?
Yes.
Okay. So what happened at McDonald's that Mr. Moore left you there?
We were fighting, and he was acting crazy and out of control and irate, and I wanted him to take me home, and he did not want to take me home. So, you know, I went into McDonald's to use the bathroom, and when I had came back out, he was gone.
Okay. And what items did you have with you when you came out of McDonald's?
My phone.
Okay. And so you didn't take your purse into McDonald's with you?
No, I did not.
And you didn't take your backpack or anything like that?
No, I did not.
Okay. When was the next time that you saw your purse?
It was when he picked me up, when he showed up at the house that night. I got into the vehicle to initially get my purse and my belongings.
Okay. What came to be that you were riding with him in Indian River?
He showed up at the house and I got in the vehicle because I wanted to get my belongings from him, not only his car, but his house as well. So that's why I agreed to go.
Okay. All right. And so from the 14th and from the McDonald's incident to the 14th, when he showed up at your house, you were not in possession of your purse.
No, I was not.
Do you have any idea where your purse was at?
I knew it was in his car.
Okay. Did that incident take place where he had your purse in the week before?
Yes, he locked me out of his house here in Sheboygan near Briggsfield Road. And I had to call the cops because he locked me out of the house with all of my belongings in it.
Okay. Did you get your belongings back that day?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So the time period that you did not have your purse was the couple days before the 14th.
Yes.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Any cross-examination?
Thank you.
So Ms. Murphy, 2 days prior to June 14th of 2024, you grabbed what you believed to be methamphetamine and placed it in your purse.
Yes.
And then 2 days later, you were with Jeffrey Becker Moore and you grabbed your purse and it still had that methamphetamine in it.
Yes,
And then you told the officer that, yes, you do think it's ice, and yes, it's been in your purse for the last 2 days.
yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any requests or any regret? Okay, thank you. You can step down. Mr. Gilbert,
I have no further questions.
any rebuttal proofs?
No rebuttal proofs.
Closing argument, Ms. Cooper.
Your Honor, the Michigan Criminal Jury Instruction 12.5 guides us for unlawful possession of a controlled substance. First, that the defendant was possessed. Amanda Murphy herself testified that she grabbed what she believed was methamphetamine, placed it in her purse, and still had it in her purse 2 days later, and told the officers that she believed it was methamphetamine and had it in there for 2 days. Regardless of what she was going to use the methamphetamine for, whether it was personal use or to give to someone else or to confront Jeffrey Becker Moore, doesn't matter pursuant to the elements of the crime. It was the fact that she knowingly possessed methamphetamine. Second, the next element is that she knowingly possessed a controlled substance. We know that from her testimony today to her statements to Trooper Morse on June 14th of 2024, and from it being tested positive for meth. And so I believe that the elements of possession of methamphetamine have been met. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert.
Your Honor, I think this has an interesting twist to it, but basically due to the constructive possession of the purse. Initially, my client's testifying that she assumed, but wasn't positive that there was methamphetamine there. So you'd have to knowingly and intentionally possess methamphetamine to be guilty of the charge. I don't believe the prosecution's met that standard based off of those facts. But then the interesting thing is when Mr. Moore leaves her at McDonald's and takes her purse, he now deprives her of that possession. And though she's sitting next to the purse when she gets back into the car, at no point in time does she leave the car with the purse and take possession back. It might have been with her. She was on her way to get the rest of her stuff from his house by riding in the car. I believe there's a gap there due to that, him denying her access to that purse, which eliminates the possession. And so my argument is that by him leaving her 2 days earlier with whatever would possibly be in the purse, terminates the possession. And then it doesn't reattach to my client until she would actually take the purse or go someplace with it. Truly, it's in the car where it's been for the last 2 days. By her merely getting into the front seat, I don't think establishes or reconnects that possession. Thank you.
Thank you. Any rebuttal argument?
Your Honor, she testified that the reason why she went with Jeffrey Becker Moore was to regain possession of that purse in her backpack. She had both things with her when the officer asked her to step out of the car. He then later asked her to search those items that she had with her. So I don't believe that she stopped possession. There's also joint possession, but we don't have any testimony that Jeffrey Becker Moore accessed her purse during that 2 days. So I still think it's the sole possession. But even if it was joint possession, that still would be valid.
All right, thank you. Well, the defendant is charged in a 1-count felony information with the charge of possession of methamphetamine. The burden of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt. The elements are simple. First, that the defendant possessed methamphetamine. Second, the defendant knew that she possessed a controlled substance. The first element is clearly satisfied in that within her purse was a pill bottle cap that did have some residue of substance on it that was sent to the State Police Crime Lab, and Exhibit 1 indicates that it was chemically tested and it was in fact methamphetamine. She was in possession of that. It's in her purse, her private bag, and she did. Trooper Morse testified that she stepped out of the car with those bags, and he asked her to for consent to search them, and that's when he found it. So she was in possession of it. The second element is, did she know that she possessed a controlled substance? And this is where the defense has presented a different theory about that, that this was Mr. Becker Moore's drugs, and that Miss Murphy was just had just sort of grabbed them to confront him about that, and she says she forgot that they were in her purse, that it was in her purse partly because she didn't have her purse for a couple days, and that she was not knowingly possessing that other than just in a passing fashion to confront him about it. The prosecutor seems to argue that legally that doesn't really matter, and I think that's probably correct, that she didn't have any lawful authority to possess that. However, I mean, if that was really what had happened, there might be some grounds to question that element. Like if a parent, for example, were to find cocaine in a child's bedroom and grab the cocaine to confront the child, I don't think anybody would think that the parent should reasonably be charged with possession of the cocaine. But in this case, Ms. Murphy's statement has some problems to it. I mean, we have Mr. Becker Moore's testimony, which the court takes with many grains of salt. His body language indicated some defensiveness of what he was testifying about today. He was a little bit squirrely about some of his testimony. First trying to make it seem like he didn't know the combination of some bag, and sort of heading down a road of disclaiming knowing what was in the trunk, and then when pressed, admitting that he knows what was in the trunk. And also he was charged with felony crimes and received a misdemeanor outcome in exchange for his testimony here today. So I think a lot of what he has to say is tough for this court to rely on. But also we've got Ms. Duvall, the defendant. On the other hand, we have the defendant's mother testifying to support the defendant's testimony here today, that she didn't have the purse for a couple days, that Mr. Becker Moore had the purse when he left in the car without her. And in fact, the mom says, we were driving all over the county looking for Mr. Becker Moore to get the purse back. There's some credibility issues with that as well. I mean, clearly Ms. Duvall has a motivation to try to help her daughter out today. And some of that story is inconsistent with what Ms. Murphy told the officers at the scene. She says, I put it in the purse 2 days before. She claimed that it did belong to Mr. Becker Moore, but she didn't say anything about he had the purse. It wasn't, I didn't even have the purse. She's not saying that to the officer at the scene. So this story that's presented today is inconsistent with what was said at the scene. And also, when I was carefully listening to Ms. Murphy's testimony and her mother's, the week before, Mr. Becker Moore allegedly had kept belongings of hers, and she and Ms. Murphy obtained the assistance of law enforcement to retrieve possession of those items. So if he had deprived her of her purse, one would think all she'd have to do is reach out to law enforcement for help to get the purse back. But she says she didn't do that, which doesn't make a lot of sense because she had just done that the prior week. What seems to make more sense to my mind is, gee, that past episode a week before, somewhere along the line, lodged in her mind as an excuse that she could try to give in this case. So there's some things about that that just don't add up right. It's tough to know what to make of that because on the one hand, Mr. Becker Moore's testimony is not super reliable, but neither is the defendant's or Ms. Duvall's. The only clear-cut testimony we have is from the two law enforcement officers who make a valid traffic stop, and during that stop obtain a consent search of Ms. Murphy's purse. It's her purse. She's holding it in the car. She's holding it when she exits the car, and inside that purse is methamphetamine. I think that's really the clear facts, and that's really all the facts that are needed to establish her guilt, unless she didn't even know it was in there. She's not even saying that today. So her story, I'm not sure whether it would amount to a defense, but she, I don't believe it nonetheless. But even if I were to believe it, she knew that was in her purse. So therefore, I think the prosecutor has proven both elements by proof beyond a reasonable doubt, and I would therefore find Ms. Murphy guilty of the charge of possession of methamphetamine. So Ms. Murphy, what we'll have to do is schedule this for a sentencing hearing. I'm going to order you to cooperate with a pre-sentence investigation, so that we'll have you talk to the probation department. They'll ask you some more questions about just your life circumstances, so I can decide what an appropriate sentence is. And let me see if I can grab a date for that. I think got a little bit of a staffing issue with probation right now, so I think I'll put that out about 6 weeks, out to August 12th at 2:30 in the afternoon. (2:30 p.m.) Ms. Goodrich, anything as to bond?
Your Honor, this would be her first felony conviction, so I would not object to bond continuing to sentencing.
Okay. Ms. Murphy, I'm not going to cancel your bond. You'll remain on bond. You have to comply with all of those conditions. I want to remind you, we have had a couple issues, I think, with bond conditions earlier in the case. I want to remind you now that we've had a trial and I have found you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, bond, you're not entitled to a bond. It's entirely within the court's discretion. So if there were any violations of bond conditions, I could cancel that at any time without really much reason at all. So I want you to strictly comply with those things. One of the things I'm going to be looking at is whether, to what extent you may have any issue with substance use or abuse, and whether there's something we can do to help you get on top of that if necessary. So you want to comply with those bond conditions for testing and be honest with the probation officer. I don't really know you. I don't know your situation, but if that's going on in your life, you don't want to try to hide it, because if you hide it and then we find it during probation, this doesn't go well with you. If that is something you need some help with, then be honest about that during that process, and we'll do what we can to help you get on top of it, okay? But otherwise, we'll see you August 12th at 2:30. Anything further from the people?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
From the
No, Your Honor,
defense?
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Recess. Thank you.